right, today we're going to be looking at Parivrtta Parsvakonasana, the revolving side angle stretch, one of the hardest standing postures. And so when the posture gets hard, there's a tendency to, what I call is like, put all the compromise in one area of the body. And what I want you to do is to learn to distribute the compromise throughout the body. And so we're going to look at especially the foundation of this posture, the feet. So you have to lift the back heel, which is something new for a lot of people. They think that you have to ground the back heel, but lifting it up is a compromise that can help you to work on the front hip, thigh better. And so we're looking at the feet, the legs, the pelvis, and seeing how to distribute the compromise. And one thing to notice is that okay, so they come down and you keep the back heel down because that's what you've been instructed to do. And then this hip comes part of the way down, but not all the way into its lunge. Okay, then you take your twist and this hand comes all the way down. Okay, so you end up with this hip up and out. Go make it go, yeah. Okay, so it's something like that is what happens. And to me, this is not distributing the compromise among the different places where you could do it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. All the compromise is in this hip and thigh, which is one of the main important parts about the pose and where you can really get a lot of benefit to work. Okay, so come up and out. All right, so first of all, what you want is you want the lunge. Okay, so you want to get this thigh parallel to the ground with the knee right over the ankle. Okay, so you got to make sure your stance is long enough. And then you twist, and in order to keep this hip down and in, okay, the hip goes that way. And so the thigh goes straight from the hip to the knee. Okay, you want to keep that shape. So that means to get that, when you add the twist, okay, as soon as you add the twist and you try to put this arm down, you can see what happens. This lifts up, the thigh lifts up, and the hip goes out. That's exactly the opposite of what you want. So to correct that, you lift the back heel up. And see, this is the thing, is you only clear the heel. Do this again. Yeah, see, when you hear lift the heel, people go all the way up to here, which is not necessary. You go only just one little tiny bit, even less, Elizabeth. Yeah. So the heel just clears off the ground. And then this hand, instead of pushing it down, go on the fingertips. Cup the finger. Okay? And so you're working to keep this arm beside this, not in front of it. Okay, so its tendency is for this arm to end up in front of the leg. But you got to keep your lunge and keep this connection between this is the first side, so the right leg and the left arm. Okay, so you've got your fingers cupped. So that's one compromise. You're not pressing your hand. You've got the back heel just off the mat. So that's another compromise. You're not pressing it down. And then you can access the lunge better and you can suck the right hip into the body better. So then you work on deepening each part of each aspect. Okay, so lessening that compromise evenly, and you feel the effect. Well, what happens when I start to push the heel down? What happens in my front hip? Or what happens when I lift that heel up? Where can I get some freedom there? Okay, so you're playing the front hand, the back heel, and the front hip thigh off of each other. When you free the back heel, it gives you that ability to create a better lunge, a deeper lunge. It can destabilize the posture a little bit, like it gets a little bit harder to balance. But you want to ground your front thigh, and with practice, you can learn to become stable even with the back heel off the ground. Okay, so remember, at home, when you're trying this, take it in stages. So come down, you'll lunge part of the way. The thigh won't quite make it down to parallel. As you start your twist, you'll let the back heel come just off the mat. Now notice, when you're working to slot this arm beside the leg, so the right arm beside the left leg, you could try to get it way, way back there, but chances are you won't be able to do it. So you just hook it. That's another compromise. Just make contact. And then don't press the hand down, rather go on the fingertips. So you've got a whole series of compromises. The back leg heel, the front thigh is not necessarily all the way down to parallel, and it's not tracking all the way straight necessarily, but you're making moves in the direction you want to go. Okay, so that's the important part when you're working with the compromise. And the direction you want to go with the front thigh is into your lunge and sucking the left thigh into the body, and then keeping this snug contact between the front arm and the front leg, and then this hand, it goes from its fingertips to kind of widening, approaching the ground as the back heel approaches the ground. So, and you're working all of those off of each other to get your position. We'll go back to the first side. If you're at home doing it, here you go. So as you start your twist, create your lunge, let the back heel come just off the mat, go onto your fingertips, and then go back into your lunge. And remember, you're swinging your right knee to meet your left arm so that the pelvis, that right hip goes into the body. Okay, and then take the arm over and slowly work at every aspect. At the front hip, the lunge of the thigh, the connection of the front arm and front leg, the back heel reaching for the earth with the lengthening. Okay, so you're playing all those variables off of each other and slowly deepening your posture. Okay, come up and try the other side. You're building into it slowly and feeling all the parts working together. Okay, so the back heel comes up slightly. You hook the arm as much as you're able around the front leg. You're on the fingertips. And then you have the ability to lunge and suck the left hip into the body. And remember, the left thigh is going this way, it's going forward in order to keep the contact between the arm and the leg, right? So look at this. If you start letting the hip come up and go out, then you lose that contact in the front. Okay, so you're forward and pushing the left knee against that right arm. Okay, and take the arm over. And that you can work on all points as you stay in the posture. Okay, so feeling the front arm versus the front hip thigh versus the back leg all the way through the heel. And slowly bringing them more and more into focus and into a full expression of the position.